Hello, good evening. How are we all? I'm a tad nervous, I'm not going to lie. So today we are doing a colour along. We are going to colour the gorgeous Alia. And I am also playing with some new technology. So I've invested in Restream, which should allow me to do this live on both Facebook and YouTube. So if I keep looking over here, it's so that I can see your comments. So hi to Claire, and I'm going to have to look on Facebook. So we've got Susan and Sue and Vera. How are you all? So yeah, I'm checking out the comments to see how you're doing. Does everybody have their image? Who's colouring along tonight and who's just watching? Let me know. Have you got a cup of tea? I've got a cup of tea. And who's got snacks? Look, I've even got my girl on my mug. So just going to allow time for people to come in and let me know if you are colouring along, and we will get started very, very soon. It's not working quite as I expected, but we'll fudge through. I can see people's names if they're on YouTube, but I can't see your name if you're on Facebook. But I do have my phone in front of me for Facebook comments. So we'll muddle through. Oh, we're getting there. Hi, Dominique. Hi, Alison. Yeah, a few of the names are coming through. Right, so Alison's just watching. And who's colouring? Sue is going to colour if she can keep up. Don't worry, if you can't keep up, this will be available. It will stay live, so you can always go through it again at your own pace, and I will try and allow it time. Susan is sitting fussy cutting. Hi, Susan. So we're all doing good. So the other thing I forgot to mention in the list is I didn't put a dark grey pen in. So you will need a dark grey pen for some of your shadows. I didn't put that on the list of markers, so you may need that. Right, so I'm going to flip you around because colouring does take a while. So we best get started. I've just got to do a few technical manoeuvres here. So I'm just going to put you to the side angle for a second. I'm going to pop my light on so you can see better and move my top camera, except the side angle has frozen. Excellent, great start. So we're just going to be working from the overhead. Right, here we go. So I am going to grab some skin colours. My husband's currently watching this on YouTube. If you're there, Alistair, say hello. To see how the technical issues are going. So the first technical issue, darling, is the side camera stopped working. But we'll not have him coming in and rectifying that, because we all know what happened last time he did that. Hang on. There seems to have been a bit of a... There we go. I'm going to get another card because that's just... There's a bit of a blob there, which is already... Right, so I am getting my palest skin colour. I'm using Copic, it doesn't matter which you are using. So we have got E000 if you're using that, but basically we want your palest skin colour. And what we're going to do is put a light wash across all of the skin tones. Okay, what this does is it just puts a layer of alcohol down. So it's a bit like when you do your watercolouring. Quite often we put water down to the area that we are going to colour. The fact that there's already alcohol then on this particular area just about means that when we start bringing the darker colours in, that we will actually get a little bit of a blend going on, which is always good. Right, so I'm just going to put that all up her neck and then across her face, avoiding her eyelids. Well, no, I'm getting her eyelids. We'll avoid the eyeballs. That could do without going skin coloured, because they're nice and white. So that's it. We're just putting, that's really simple. We've just put a wash across everything there. Okay, hi Kate, don't worry, you're not late. Hi Vera, hi Sue. Okay, so we have got that down. Is everyone okay with that? Now I'm going to jump from my lightest to my darkest. So I do tend to work dark to light. So let's grab the darker tone. Now some people use like a blue violet tone when they're doing their shadows. I tend to have like a warmer tone personally, but we are also colouring a mermaid, which would be under the sea, so a blue violet might actually make sense for doing that if you want. But basically you're just wanting a shadow colour. Oh, Alistair's actually commented. I can't see it because there's a box in front of it. Hang on. Yes, that's him saying about do I want him to do some tea staining. So does anyone remember that story of my first catastrophic live with my husband? If you don't, I will tell you all about it. So we are going, it's annoying that the side one isn't working because you'd be able to see the angle that I'm holding my pen. So we've got the pen at an angle and we're going to cover in all the shadow areas. So under her bust, there would be a shadow area because there is something in front of it. So we're just going to move that along. And I've just realised that if I do the side camera, if I can click some buttons without panicking, it's probably just a matter of deactivating and activating. Am I right? Right, so we're going to pop, we've got a bit there and a bit there. Now it's going to be really dark under our arms here because we've got the shadow of the bust, and plus, you know, there's a lot going on around here. So this area is going to be highly shadowed. So let's just put this down around here and we're going to have shadow along there. I'm not going to go all the way up because actually we'd most likely have light coming from above. If she's a sea creature, there's going to be light coming here through the waters. We are going to have a little bit of shadow above her outfit though, so we're just going to pop that in there. So it's just remembering if anything is behind something else, it will have a shadow. So if I put, I've got so many lights on you can barely see it, but if I put my pen down, can you see that there's shadow there? Not particularly because I've got loads of lights on. But if you try that wherever you are, if you do that, you'll see shadow going underneath. So it's just kind of remembering that rule. So again, her fin here is in front of her arm. So we're going to have shadow along here. And we are going to have a shadow around here, like so. Okay. The main area that we would also have shadow then is under her neck because her face and chin will be in front. So we're going to have a shadow down there as well. Okay, and then we will also have a shadow around the hairline. So let's get that in. So this is when your work looks really, really strange, but you just have to trust the process. Okay, never give up halfway through. So that's it, we've got it to about that stage. So for those of you that are colouring along, are you comfortable with where we've got to? And also, does anyone remember the disastrous attempt where my husband decided, I'm going to try and just, now if I click onto here, yeah, that is going to work. Sorry guys, whilst we are, no, I actually can't do that. Right. It's fine, we'll get back to here. So everyone's good. Perfect. Right, so I am going to go to a mid-tone now. So for me, I'm going for E11. Okay, and but whatever pens you're using, just like a mid-tone. Now we want to make sure that we do quite a bit of work just down the line. I'm working in circles because we want to push away that harsh line of the shadow. So I'm kind of coming a little bit further into the area that we're colouring. I'm working in circles just to push that harsh line away. Okay. And this is where I'm going to really struggle because I zone out when I'm colouring, and now I've got to kind of keep talking. Hi Dominic, tell us the story. Okay Claire, were you not around for that? So my very first Facebook Live was in Crafting Together with All Brands, And at the time I wasn't in my lovely studio, I was in the loft. Never done a Facebook Live, and as you might have noticed from tonight, I'm not that great with technology. I mean, I'll gradually learn what we're using now, but yeah, I wasn't that great with it. So it was showing portrait and not landscape. So I called down for his help, thinking that, you know, he'd press a few buttons on my iPad and sort it for me. But instead, what he did was decide to build a shelf above my head. This was in the loft. So he's trying to like drill into cement, a cement wall. So I'm trying to keep going and talk about what we're doing. And yeah, he's drilling into me. So I'm sort of going, sorry about the noise, everybody. My husband's building a shelf, and I'm trying to laugh it off and all of this sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, he knocks something over. The light and the shelf crashes onto my desk. There's cement dust everywhere. It knocks over my tea, which goes all over my work and all over my lap. But I managed to keep crafting. So, as you can see, I've just gone in a circular motion and worked that a bit further in. And already that just looks far more sensible than it did with the big dark line. So it's doing better it looks better than it did before. Okay, now before I go in with a lighter tone, I'm going to bring in my pink. So we're going to bring whatever colour you like for blush. A lot of people like in the Copics like R21. I find that a little bit pale, so I tend to go for R43. I just realised at the beginning I forgot my shameless plug about sharing. So if you're enjoying this, do feel free to share. Right, so this is R43. And again, what I'm going to do is work on the side. This is where it's really annoying that I don't have my side camera. Right, so what you want to do is you want to work on the side of it. We're not working on point, we're working on side, and we just are going to flick like that. This is how Copics were actually, and alcohol markers were designed to work. They weren't designed to work on point. So we're just going to flick like that. So we're just going to take in the cheek area, just sort of above her eye, I'm just going to put in some little flicks. This is, again, is going to look dreadful at this point, but trust the process. And we're going to do the same under here and just flick out into the face. Okay. Once we've done that, we are going to bring in a lighter skin tone. And I am going to bring in my E21. Okay, and again, I am just going to come a little bit further into the face. So again, I'm working in circular motions, and I'm going to keep working until that harsh line has disappeared. And then I'm going to do the same around this cheek area. And you'll find that that sort of blends nicely in. You're not going to get a full blend, but that's okay because it's the same as it would with blush as well. Sorry about the creaking table. I'm actually stood up so that my desk is a lot closer to the camera. But it does creak a little bit when I lean on it. So I'm just bringing that in. Now you can, if you want, if you've only got the 3 coloured markers, you can just bring this colour right in to the edge of everything else that you've got. But I do have one shade lighter again, so I am just going to save a little bit of space for that. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'm going to come in with my lightest colour, which was the colour that I started off with, and I am just going to finish that off. So how is it, everybody? Are we all comfortable with the stage that we're at? Do you need a bit of time, or are you happy for me to carry on? Just checking the comments. I think Kate's good because she's sending me some love hearts. Yes, Sue's good, Vera's good. Okay, so we'll carry on. Now, what tends to happen when you work dark to light is that it gradually pushes the... No, you don't have to be particularly quick, Dominique. You don't have to rush at all. So don't panic, just take your time. Claire's keeping up so far, that's good. We're all good, and Sue's okay. So when you use a lighter colour onto a darker colour, it pushes the pigment away. So I'm just going to illustrate this. I've got my lightest colour here. And if I just, sorry, you can't see. Right. If I do that, can you see how that has pushed, the lighter colour has pushed the pigment away? So the alcohol sort of pushes it away. Whatever's the top will push away what's underneath. Okay, so because we've gone light to dark, we've gradually pushed that dark colour away. You have the Spectrum R tri-blends and you find you have to be quick to blend them. I've not tried those, so I'm not sure. I'm hearing footsteps, so I'm hoping that might not be my husband trying to come and help. If he's still watching, he'll be like, huh. It depends. What I would say, Claire, is it's most likely that your pens have maybe dried out a little bit. The pens should be fairly juicy. That is why I do quite like my Copic markers, because you can refill your pens. But I'm currently working on a video where we're comparing pens. So I am working on that now, and that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks ago. So we have a bit more variety. Because I know I always pull out these, but they're quite new. I'm not sure then. What I was half thinking about, for those of you, I was thinking about possibly doing a paid colouring class, but on Zoom. And then I could troubleshoot properly, because I could actually see your work and you could hold it up to me. So if that's something you'd be interested in, we can have a look into that. So as I was saying, because we've pushed the colour away, we're now just going to repeat the process. So we'll find with a second coat, it'll just look a lot more, the colour will look more strong and more vibrant. Sometimes I find things need a second coat, sometimes they don't. I think he's back to building a fence. Don't think he's watching me anymore. That he got bored quick, didn't he? Well, here he is. Is he coming? So this is like, so if it all goes wrong now and tea suddenly crosses, like look, there is tea here ready to be spilt. Stop it. I presume that I'm supposed to activate and deactivate it, but I couldn't, because you put that bit up, it's disappeared from where it normally is. I'm sorry if this goes horribly wrong, guys. He's fiddling. Whoa. Right, so that is my darkest down. And I am now going to go in with my E11, which is my mid-tone. And let's just do the same process all over again. And we will just going to go in circular motions to blend that. Spectrum R do suggest working quickly on only a small area. Okay, it's good to know, Caroline. As I say, I am going to be working on a comparison video, so that is something that I can look into, because I do have some Spectrum R's to play with. My daughter did inherit some Spectrum R's and some Pro markers. So, oh, he's sorry guys, he's fiddling. See, this is why I don't like him too close. Nobody can see. Overhead close again, please. 3. That one there. That's 6. Right, sorry guys. I could tell. I could feel him creeping about on the door outside. He always thinks he can come in and just fix it, and invariably it all goes pear-shaped. So again, I'm just working this circle. So this is going to look like really dark and a bit clumpy. But once we start getting the rest of the colours in and the whole image coloured, it does make a difference. So Claire, if Spectrum R suggests that you work more quickly, I would maybe do like her face, then her neck, then her torso, and work down like that and see how you get on. But I've never really had a problem. Basically, the alcohol is a carrier for the pigment, so keep inputting alcohol. Like when I do these alcohol backgrounds, I can have them dried and then come in a few days later with the alcohol, with the isopropyl, and it'll move again, so it shouldn't be an issue. So I'm not sure as to why. Maybe they've got an extra ingredient in it or something that causes a difference. Right, So that's me got my mid-tone in. Tech Gremlins are paint. Yeah, I have no idea what's happened. I seem to have a curse with my side camera. My side camera just always seems to fail me, and we tested it all before we went live as well, and everything was working, which is a little bit annoying. But hey, we're managing. It's just that it would have been much more interesting and more professional looking if I could have done it on a few different angles. And especially when you are working with markers, for you to be able to see the side angle and the position I'm holding the pen does make a difference. But, you know, we'll fudge through. I'm just trying to check. So most of you are here on Facebook. We are actually live on YouTube as well. I didn't completely promote that too much. So I think we've got Claire here on Facebook and just Alistair. No one else has joined us. On YouTube. No one else has joined us on YouTube. So maybe I should promote that too much. Oh, my daughter's in the garden as well now. All hell could break loose. She was wanting to come in and join. I was like, no. So she was a bit heartbroken. I don't mind her joining in, but because all the tech is new. I am live on both. Yes, I am live on both, Vera. Have invested in some new software that allows me to go live on multiple platforms at the same time. Because I've been promising to do YouTube lives forever and I've just not got around to doing it, and it's really hard to dedicate yet another night to it. So if I can manage to stream from multiple platforms, that makes a difference. It doesn't matter, Claire, as long as you've got YouTube's lagging a bit behind, as long as you're managing to watch it, we're all good. Okay, and then I'm putting my lightest one. Oh no, yeah, put my lightest one in the middle. Except that's not my lightest, but hey, we're all good. Right, so I appreciate that right now those shadow areas look a lot harsher than they did before. It looks a bit funny, but again, trust the process, because as soon as we start putting the colours of the other things in, we are okay. So, Caroline, you have the Illustrator and really like those. It's a good job there's a lot of choice. Yeah, I think that is a thing, Caroline. It's like everybody, I've been watching a fair few reviews and I've been doing a bit of research because it is something that I am wanting to look into, kind of, because covering a bit more, because people always ask me about my pens and I always go on and on about Copics. I still think Copics are going to turn out to be my favourite, but that's the thing, they are my favourite. Different people favour different pens. Part of it is to do with feel. Personally, I find I like the feel of Copics. I don't particularly like the feel of the Spectrum Wires or the Pro Markers. They're too chunky in my hand. But that is my personal preference. But I've just discovered Yoo-hoo markers and I'm having a play with them. Right, we're moving on to the hair. So I have got the darkest red violet. So for me that is peony. And we are going to be doing hair. So we are going to use a flicking motion. So this is easier if you have a brush nib, but if you're working with a bullet nib, you can still achieve that look. So we are literally just going to take our pen and flick. So if you want to, if it's something you've not done a lot, just take a bit of scrap paper or a bit to the side and just practice that movement. I took the classes at Kit and Clowder and literally, like, you know, she does have you doing that, like just like a page of keeping flicking, because that's what we're going to be doing to colour the hair. So again, we're going to follow the same principles that we discussed before. We're going to, and I've moved this because I flick easier away from myself, and so it's easier to turn your paper rather than to kind of contort your hand and feel uncomfortable. So we're going to follow the same principle. This little bit of hair here is behind her neck, behind her hand, and behind this top layer of hair. So all of that is going to be a lot darker. So Vera, YouTube's lagging behind. It's fine. We're learning. I'm learning. It will all get better. This is my first one and that's okay. Right, so I'm just going to put that shadow area in. I'm not thinking about my flicks just now, but as you can see, just putting that shadow area in that one area, I've pretty much taken up most of the area. And I'm going to do the same in here as well. Down here, and we're going to do the same like that. I'm just going to do the top area there because it's just this bit that is behind that main bit of hair, just there. To be honest, I didn't advertise this for YouTube and Instagram, which is just as well because we're not live on Instagram because we couldn't make that work, and because I knew that we were playing with brand new software tonight, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get it to work. So I sort of I've sneaked onto YouTube, in all honesty. Now that I know I can get it to work, I'll probably make a bit more of a song and dance about it on YouTube itself. But I knew that if it all went wrong, I could do it my normal way of doing it. So yeah, so I've also put a bit in there because we'd have a shadow where that particular parting is. So now what I'm going to do is do that flicking motion. This is where my side camera would work better, but hey ho. So I'm just going to do some flicking. And then I'm kind of going to follow that sort of hairline and just add a few more flicks in here. Doesn't really matter where, this will all kind of come to an end. Probably what I would do as well is just, I want to flip that round and get in like this. As we were saying about alcohol markers, it's about finding the ones that you personally like. I'm also going to go to the edges here, and because that's another area that I can base a flick from. Because at the end of the day, what the alcohol marker is pigment in an alcohol carrier. And that's going to be the same no matter what brand you buy. You may find there's a difference in the amount of ink in the barrel. There's a difference in how it feels. There's a difference in the quality of the brush nibs. There can be a difference in the amount of pigment in the alcohol. But other than that, it is basically just the same thing. Pigment in an alcohol carrier. So whatever you've got, it will work. Right, so again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do these flicks and I am going to do them in the direction of the hair. Now again, there would be shadow behind these roses. So I'm going to colour a line of that in, like so. I'm going to just grab these few bits around her face, not too much because I almost want to make this bit right in front of her face like almost like a highlighted streak. So I'm going to go paler in there. So I'm just going to bring that there. Now from where I've done those roses, I can flick again. So I'm going to just do some more flicks. And I'm going to spin her around. Again, this is just so that it stays comfortable for me. And I'm going to bring some more flicks up. Sorry, my hand's covering that. Do you know what though, Alison? I am the opposite. I very rarely use watercolours, and I actually need to push myself out of my comfort zone. So next month is actually National Watercolour Month, and I'm thinking that I need to do more watercolouring. So it's fine, we've all got our preferred mediums, but it's good to sort of sometimes come out of our comfort zone and have a play. So that is the first layer of the hair down, and we have flicked out. Is everyone that's colouring along happy with where they are? If they are, I will move on to my next one, which will be my next colour down, which for me is RV66. It is very warm. I think I'm going to take my cardigan off while you get back to me. Oh. Okay. It is very warm, yeah. Sue's up to date. Hi Jane, how are you? It's cooking. It's kind of like cast over now and raining, so you think it's not as warm as it was last week, but it's just really muggy. Right, so now we are taking our mid colour tone, and I'm just going to go over the flicks that we have already made and just go a little bit further into the hair. So I'm going to flick, and I might put a few extra ones in, but I'm just basically following what I've already done. Okay. And again, I am going to just rotate my work Sorry, can you see what I'm doing okay? I'm just very conscious that my hand could be covering what I'm trying to do, so I'm sort of trying to colour at a funny angle just to just so that you can see. It's the whole point of having a setup with a side camera. It was the one thing when I got the new studio, I was adamant that I wanted. And it's been the one thing that's caused so many problems. We've gone through so many cameras and so many different things just trying to get this to work. So as I say, I'm just going around everything that I've already done and just adding a few more flicks in and sort of going over the ones that I've already done. And it gradually starts coming together. I'll turn this around again. I'll pop that there. A few more flicks. Okay. That's how it's looking now. And then I am going to get my palest, my palest one. And I am just going to go over some of that. Now this is where I've kind of realised that I've not done as many flicks on this side as I really should have. But that's alright, because I'm going to do a second layer like we did with the face. So I'm just going to sort of bring this colour in and around, still using a flicking motion. Also, I'm finding the shadow areas aren't as dark as I would have liked. So this is where sometimes you may want to bring in your grey. So I'm just going to, not a lot, but I'm just going to go over some of those shadow areas using the grey and do a few tiny flicks in some of those darker areas. So if you find that you've not got the depth that you were looking for, pop in with the grey. You quite often find that your turquoises and your reds, and this is sort of like a red violet here, just needs the lift of the grey. So the eye sees value or shade and tone before it sees colour. So that's why the actual colour choices, yeah, they're important, and they help you get the desired look. But to really make things pop, if you can get those shadows, midtones and highlights in, the better. And the more contrast you've got, the more realistic this will look, sorry. So I'm just doing these few flicks, these darker areas. And now I don't necessarily go in with grey straight away, because I like to decide first whether it's dark enough or not. Sometimes I do it and go, yep, it's plenty dark enough. And other times I'm like, no, it needs a bit more oomph. So that tends to be a decision that I make after I've done my first layer. But you can, if you want, just do that straight away if you know that you're going to want a bit more depth. Okay, everybody happy? Oh, it is very warm. I think I'll be needing an ice cream after this. Right, so we're going to go back down through all of our colour choices again. So I'm going to go with my original dark red violet, and we're going to go over those greys that we've just done. Are you managing to see my hands okay? Are you managing to see what's actually happening? I am currently working on quite a few colouring videos for various reasons. So I've got a few ideas and I'm currently filming about 3 at the same time. So we will be covering colouring in some YouTube videos coming up. So if we're not quite seeing the angle as we should, and plus it's something that we can all, that I can do again live, that's not a problem. Right, so I'm just going to neaten this up, and I realised that we needed a lot more darks in there than we had before, so I'm just going to really put a lot more of these sort of wiggles in, and I'm just drawing like wavy lines. I have no idea, I'm not thinking about it overly, so just pop it in. It'll be fine because it all blends together, so even at this stage it probably will look a bit dodgy in all honesty, And if it does, that's absolutely fine, because, you know, we're getting there. So you notice that this part of the hair looks a lot darker than this part. That's a deliberate choice, because I'm thinking that the light's sort of coming and hitting. You find it difficult control. Are you using a bullet nib or a brush nib, Susan? Right, so I'm going to go back over it with my mid-tones. I'm going to make my flicks much thicker, because we want to sort of cover the hair. We kind of really want to fill this, because the next colour down is that highlight. So I'm quite happy with that just being little spots here and there. So I'm sort of almost filling in what's left with nice, thick, chunky flicks. Now, to get the blended look that we got on the skin, we still want everything blending. So I am... yeah, so I would say, Susan, that it is much harder to get a flick with a bullet nib than with a brush nib. You can do it. I would recommend the classes over at Kit and Clyder. She does cover both, colouring with both different types of nibs. But it is harder to get a flick with a bullet nib than it is with a brush nib. That is one of the reasons that I have opted for the pens that I use. But even with that, honestly, just sit there and practice with your bullet nib. Just sit there and spend ages. And eventually you'll find a motion that feels comfortable for you and gives you a flick that you like. Okay, so I'm sort of kind of more colouring here as opposed to flicking, because I'm filling in those spaces. I'm going over some of the darker areas and sort of just filling it in. I'm not using the same flicking motion because I'm trying to get the colour across the hair, but I am wanting to make sure that we still leave lots of lovely light patches for the hair. I'm also just going to come in with this colour here now and sort of colour in this bit round by her face. Like so. And then we will get the lightest colour and I'm just going to pop a few flicks just over those bits that we haven't quite covered yet. And the only reason I'm doing that is because they're actually fine. You can leave them white if you want, but it's to almost blend those edges out so that we don't have harsh lines, so it looks a lot more fluid. Okay, so that's us almost done the hair. Are we happy? Hi Leslie, how are you? Oh, I'm glad that's helped, Susan. Okay. Now I'm sort of feeling that the contrast between my grey that I've used and the palest is still not quite right, so I am going to go in with, it's a bit too much of a contrast. I'm just going to go back in with this, the mulberry colour again, just to blend that out slightly. I think my mulberry marker has become a little bit sticky, which has caused the issue. I'm just going to give this side another little go. But I'm quite happy for this side of the head to be slightly darker anyway, because as I said, if we've got the light coming in this way, this bit is going to be lighter anyway. Okay. Is everybody happy with where you currently are? Are you okay for me to move on? Or are you just needing a minute? Just going to check if that's, yeah, we're still frozen. We're still frozen on that camera. Bit messy. You need more practice with brush strokes. I look forward to seeing the blue hair. You think you've printed it on the wrong paper? You're not getting a great blend. What paper are you using, Kate? Okay, so I am going to move on to the outfit now. So for those of you whose markers are drying out, let's just take this in little bits so that you know, you're not having to rush. Okay, so I am going to, again, if the light is coming here, it's going to be darker this side. So we want the shadow coming in round the bust here and underneath. So I'm going to get my darkest blue-green, which for me is the B09. Yes, Kate, I know that feeling. I know that feeling. I would normally recommend an Express It paper, but that is very expensive. I have to admit, I do use it, but then this is my job, and quite often what I colour gets turned into product. So for me, it is worth it. If not, your Nina Solar is quite good. Or if you get like a high quality HP printer paper, that can work really well as well, because basically a HP printer paper is designed to absorb ink. It's designed to go through your printer and work with the ink that is in it. So that tends to work quite well and quite often end up one of the cheaper options of various papers. But yeah, if you're not using the right paper, it won't move the same. So if you're finding that it's not moving, I can see your comment, Dominique. So feel free to still ask questions. I should still be able to answer them. Yeah, so if you're not getting the movement, that could very well be why. Right, so I am now going into the mid-tone, and I'm just going to bring that around like so. Then we've got the lighter tone, which I'm just going to almost finish off with, and then I've got like a really, really pale blue, which will just be able to put in that last little bit, which will help with the bit that looks like a reflection. That's maybe a bit too dark, but never mind. Right, so again, for me, that's looking good, and we've got 4 different shades of blue in there, but it's still not got the same depth, and we're kind of seeing the shadow, like we've lost that harsh line under the hairline now because the hair's taken away from it, whereas we can still see that there, and that's because there's not enough shadow under here. And as I said, you quite often find with your blue greens, your reds and your red violets, that to get that depth you need to go in with a darker colour. So I've got my C10, so I'm back to using a dark grey. So I'm just going to put that down the side here, because as we've said, we've got our arm here, the light's coming from this side, so it's darker this side anyway, so we've got the arm, so there's going to be a lot of shadow there, and there is going to be shadow under the bust because the bust is in front of the torso there. Okay. Oh, sorry you missed a bit of the hair colouring. You can watch back, Sue. So we're okay. So I'm just going to pop that up the side there and then along the base of the bust. Now you can maybe see that by me doing that already, that shadow that we have on the torso starts to look a lot more natural because we've got the comparison of the colours. This is like the importance of the value in your colours. Okay. So now I'm going to go with my darkest blue-green, and again that sort of circular motion, because what I'm wanting to do is to push that alcohol away and move that harsh line so it becomes a much softer line. So I will sort of repeatedly go back and forth over that so that we break down that harsh line and it's sort of the 2 colours blend together. So I'm going back and forth, but particularly working where the actual line is. Okay. Then we're going to go back into the mid blue. Around here. And then I'm going to get that lightest blue now, just at the top now. It's showing much more depth where I'm seeing it. I've got so many lights on for you to see it properly. We're not getting the same contrast as I'm seeing, but you can see that we've got a lot more darkness this side of the bust and it's lighter here. Okay, So we're going to stick with these same colours. I'm going to put my grey away at the minute because, as I said, I make the decision after I've coloured a section as to whether it needs that grey to build it up. So I'm now going to work on the tail. So I'm going to go under this sort of like fancy frill that she's got on her tail, and we're going to have that because it'll have a shadow area there. Okay, I'm also just going to bring almost like a triangular shape and bring that around the edge of the tail, almost like I would create a fold of a dress. I'm sort of using the same principles as if I was colouring the fold of a dress. So we've got that sort of triangular shape, and then I'm going to go into the roses there. Okay, I'm now just going to turn this a little bit because I need to flip it for the sake of my comfort. So again, I'm just going to sort of almost mimic the, as I said, folds of a dress. I'm just going to bring another triangle, so we've got the base of that there, and I'm going to bring that up to a point here. And then another thin one just there. Okay, so if you let me know when you're at that stage, and I'll move on. Okay, so I'm getting my mid blue now, and I'm going to go over what we've just done again. Let's just work those edges. So we're going to just go circular motions. Sue's okay, excellent, and bring it down. Same with the middle. I'm just going to go over what we've done so that we can get it to blend. Now I will warn you, the tail is going to look a bit funny till we've completely finished it, because it is going to sort of be dealing with multiple colours. Is that the darkest colour? So far I've got the darkest colour down and the mid colour down. I think I probably will go in with black, but at the minute I'm just sort of placing my colours and seeing where we go. Right, I'm also just going to get a really pale blue and just put that in there a little bit, because we're going to do some interesting blends here to try and create the iridescence of a mermaid's tail. Okay. So I'm now going to go into my greens. So for the greens, we were to have like a mid and a light. So what I'm going to do is just bring almost like a strip of the mid in the middle of those two V's, like so. Same here. Bring that round. And then just on the outside of this one here. I do appreciate this looks well dodgy at the minute. Bear with. Also, it doesn't blend particularly well, but we're gonna work on that. Okay. Is everybody happy? Hello, Michelle. How are you? Are you colouring? Do you have a cup of tea and are you colouring along? Okay, so we've got the lightest green now, and I'm just going to bring that and then bring that over the blue. We're still going to end up with a harsh line. Bear with, just bear with. I'm just going to bring all of that in and cover it all down and go over the blue slightly. Okay. Are we all happy? Are we all keeping up? Once I've done that, I'm going to get my pale blue again and just go back over the blue area but I'm just going to go up a notch. Back over the blue area into the green so that we try and make that blend just a little softer to what we had. So we're literally just, we're keeping putting the blue over the green and the green over the blue, and it should all sort of merge together and make some sort of iridescent feel. I say it will look a little bit blotchy, but we're going to do a few extra colouring tricks at the end just to pull all that together. So don't worry, mine looks blotchy too. Okay, how are we all getting on? I'm seeing a few heart faces, so thank you very much. Okay, so now I'm going to get the RV02. I'm going to do something really scary. I'm going to take that pink just down the edge here. So we're going to have a counter sort of curve there. And we're going to bring that into the green areas, like so. And as I said, what we're trying to do is create that iridescent look. Any questions? Are we all good? Or are you all panicking? It's all gone quiet. It's all gone quiet. Is anybody there? Is everyone happy? Very scary at this stage. Trust the process, trust the process. As I always say, I don't care who you are, I don't care how good an artist that you are. You're very scary, Vera. Your work will go through an ugly stage. So this is the ugly stage. It looks ugly for me as well, so it's okay, don't panic. We're going to get there. So now, just to scare you even more, I think it's hard to use different pens to you because I don't know if my colours will work. Yep, I get that. I get that. Yeah, it's okay. That's exactly what we're going to do, Kate. We are going to go and sort this with glitter and dots and things. So we're all good. We're concentrating, either colouring or watching. Right. So now, just to make it even more scary, let's go back in with some dark grey. Claire, I think if you were to go on the Kit and Clouder website, she does, she's got colour conversion charts there, so you might be able to kind of see. But honestly, the exact colours don't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. It's about the techniques, okay? So we're going to go in and we're going to put that black in around the roses. And I'm going to put a little bit of it just coming up the side of the tail. Ah, that looks really scary now. Thank goodness, yeah. White pen and glitter. Everything can be fixed with white pen and glitter. Right, and we're also just going to put a little bit just under here there as well. Okay. Then I am going to get my darkest blue. And let's just work that in. So we're going to do lots of circular motions, especially along the edge there, so that we don't have a harsh line. We're going to make sure that's blended together. I'm going to bring that up here. Do the same along here. And again, work in those sort of triangular sections so that you're thinking, think pleats of a dress. And the fact that we've got the first lot of colour down anyway, just cover what you've done, okay? And then we're going to go back up and we're going to get the centre section of this again. Okay. And then the same here. Then I'm going to get my mid tone now and let's go over this. And it's starting to look really dark again, but once we start putting those lines in, it'll get knocked back again. So we're only going as far as our midsection with this, because basically we want to sort of keep going over with the very pale lime green and the very pale blue to sort of blend this together. So now I'm going in with my mid lime green. Okay, and we're going to fit that in this section here. Just go over that pink, it's fine. And we're going to stick that into this section here in the middle. I'm going round the edge, and then especially down the bottom. This is kind of going to go up at the base and then round the edges as well, because we want that sort of the green colour to the edge. See, that looks dreadful. So don't panic, mine looks dreadful. But look, trust the process. See? So now I'm going to bring my palest and I'm green, and I'm going to go over what we've just done, but also bring it onto that blue. So we're going to knock back that blue-green. So basically we've got two colour families with green in it. We've got the blue-green colour family and the yellow-green colour family. So they've both got that element of blue in it, and so they will both work. And so I'm just getting that alcohol on there, and it's basically going to push that. You know, I showed the demonstration of how the lighter colour pushes the darker colour away. It's going to push that darker colour back in. Okay, but now it's gone too green looking. So we're going to go back in with the lightest blue-green, and we're going to go back in and sort of catch the edges of that. So we're literally working the pale blue-green and the pale yellow-green until we get this sort of blend of the blue greens. Okay. And then I'm going to get that pink back in. So I've got this flash of pink that's coming this way. So this is when you get that gorgeous iridescent look. That's to mimic. That's what we're trying to mimic. So I'm just going to bring that back in. And bring that sort of pink in as well. Okay, and it still looks dreadful, and that's okay. I actually think in my test one I have this comes a bit finer and comes round, so I'm just gonna bring that around a bit further. There we go. We all good? So we're pretty much going to do the same thing, but we're not going to come in with the pink. So I already know that I'm going to want to go dark because I have at the tail there, and it's not going to look right at the tail here. So let's go in. We're going to do a nice dark line around these roses again. So we'll get that in. Okay, and then we are going to, again, that sort of triangular flick shape, and I'm just going to pop it in there. I'm going to put a little bit just in the centre where that line is, and maybe just a little bit here, and then that's it. How do I know which colours are going to give the effect? It's a good question. It's photo reference. So if you go on Pinterest and look at fish, iridescence, you know, like starfish, or not starfish, like seahorses and various fish, because that's basically what a mermaid is, isn't it? It's a fishtail. So by, you know, looking at photo references of things like that, you can kind of see what colours blend together. So quite often you'll find that there's this sort of blue-green look, and then there's just a flash of pink as well. So yeah, that's kind of come from photo reference. So I will sometimes kind of research what I am going to be doing. So we've got the darkest blue again, and I'm going to just work that over the grey again. Now we're going to mostly do the tail the green blue, so we're not going to be putting as much of it in, and we're not really going to be putting the pink in. So we're just getting that colour all the way across, so nice big chunks into it like that. Okay. We're going around. And again, I'm very much colouring this like, I'm approaching this very much like I would a dress. I'm thinking of these fins as like big pleats. And just following the shape that's there. And let's just work this grey a little bit. So when I come to doing the second lot of colour, I probably won't put the grey in a second time. Because at the minute there's quite a bit of a contrast with that, but that's okay. Okay, so now I'm going into my mid-tone, and again, just going to follow the shape that we've got. Let's just, you can hear that, that's my cat snoring. A little bed behind me snoring away. Okay. And then I'm going to take the pale blue and we're pretty much going to almost go to the edge, but not quite. We want to save some of the edges because we're going to go in with the lime green just to get that sort of iridescent feel. Now you'll already see that there's differences between the way I've coloured this one and the way I've coloured my original. So there is going to be differences between the way we've all coloured them, and that's absolutely a-okay. So let's get that lime green in now. It's just going to lift it, so we feel like we've gone quite dark in comparison to this bit over here, but as soon as we get that sort of splash of lime green in, and again I'm just bringing that in. And pulling that into the tail. And then it marries, so that was looking quite dark, but it sort of marries in together now. Okay, are we all good? We all happy? Let me know where you are if you want me to carry on. So you can see this side has had 2 coats and this side has had 1. So you can see the difference in the blending already with that. So that is why it is worth doing a second coat. Now, as I said, I'm not going to do a second coat of the black because I think that's already quite dominant. So I'm just going to go in with my darker green. I've just realised something, guys, so just give me 2 seconds. Just realised I'm supposed to be feeding the neighbour's cats. I don't think I've done it yet, but my husband's no longer in the garden. Right, so I'm going to go back in, make that dark again. I'm just trying to get this black or this dark grey blended out, so let's really work it. It will go, and you'll find that this dark blue will have desaturated a little bit as we put the layers on, so we're just building up that saturation level again. Okay, is everyone still with me? I think you're all concentrating. You're all either really concentrating. Okay, and then let's get our mid one in. And then the pale. It's all done. Then I'm coming back in with my yellow green again, just catching the edges and bringing that into the fin a little bit. And as I said, mine's not blended brilliantly either, and I'm going outside the lines. It's all okay. You can fix it. Okay, that's that. How are we all feeling? Hi Liz, how are you? Okay, I don't know whether you've stopped talking or my software has stopped working, so I'm just going to carry on because I'm not getting any messages. Right, so we're almost there. So let's get our pinks now. So we've got our dark pink, our light pink, and our pale pink. Right, so I am going to, with these roses in the centre, we want the nice dark colour, so I'm going to put a little bit of that in the centre and just do a few scribbly lines. Oh, Susan's saying it's fabulous. Thank you for messaging. I was like, I just wasn't sure what was happening there. I'm going to put a little bit here and a little bit under here. Well done. I can see that there's 6 of you watching, so well done for the 6 of you that are keeping going. Everyone else obviously got bored. So well done. Okay, so we have that there. Then we have, I'm just doing the mid-tone. So this bit can be done really quickly. We don't have to worry about this overly because it's not really going to be seen hugely much. That's, well, it is seen, but I don't think we need to go to the same lengths. So I'm just putting the darker tone here just in the fur of her top as well. Still here with your tongue hanging out. Well done, Rianne. Okay, and then finally with the palest pink, I'm just going to get the edges of all those areas. So I've scribbled all of those in fairly quickly, but it does the job. Okay. So I'm just going to do these leaves. So I'm just going to put the darker green in the corners there. And then let's get the lighter green. Oops. Just to do that. We're almost at the Copic stage being done. I will show you that mine's bled in various places as well, so don't worry if that's happened to you. We will give it a fix. So I just need to do her lips. So to do that, what I do is the darkest skin tone that you used, we're going to go into the corner and then along the bottom, like so. Then I'm going to take a mid pink and just follow that line. So we've just got a tiny little dot just left, and then I'll drop a little bit of the tiny pink in there. That's actually just bled out slightly. Sorry, I think that's someone in the garden again. You in the garden? Nope, he's not. Just suddenly become very aware about these people's cats that haven't been fed. Right, so let's just... There we go. Just the lipstick colour had just bled out slightly, so I was just pushing it back in with an extra bit of skin tone. So, oh, we still need to do some eyes, whatever colour eyes you want. I think I'm going to go in with the blue. I'm just going to put a bit of dark either side. And then a light in the middle. Okay, so I'm just going to show you that we have blotchy blended work there. So mine isn't, it's gone blotchy. I've gone outside the lines, it's bled outside the lines. That's not blended in overly well there. There's some few dodgy flicks here. So if you're looking at it and thinking it doesn't look perfect, don't worry, it's fine. Okay, so Are we all at the next? So we're ready to the next stage yet, which is we're going to just add a few details with a black pen and a white pen, which hopefully should just bring it all together. Now, one of the things you can do, if you take a very pale blue, you're ready to go on, Claire. Excellent. Just going to move all the pens over to this side. Right, because I do have these areas here where the colour has bled out, I'm just going to go with that, and I'm going to take a really pale pen and just almost create a shadow around it. So I'm just going to, I mean, she's swimming in the sea anyway, so I'm just going to push that a little bit, work that, and then just almost draw a line of a pale blue. I used to always do this to my images anyway, because it makes it look like there's a shadow behind them, so they're lifting off the page. Okay. We'll bring that round. So this is a trick if alcohol has bled outside the lines. This helps to push it back in a little bit, and it also just helps to disguise where things have gone. So you can do this with like a really cool grey, so like, you know, your C1s or something, your really pale greys. I've got a really pale blue. So again, I've got a little bit of a bleed there, so I'm just kind of, I was just sort of drawing a line, but when I get to those areas with this bit of a bleed, I'm just giving it, just working it ever so slightly. You'll not build up the colour of the actual alcohol marker by going over it a few times. Right, so I'm just going to go around this one. It needs re-inked. I've got a few bits there, and again, just by colouring it a little bit, it just pushes the alcohol back, apart from there where it's grey and I've made a mess, but hey ho. That's where you stick your sentiment. No, I'll add a bit of glitter, don't worry. And this is the other thing to remember, is that we are colouring to put this on a card, to stick it in an art journal. It's not going up as a piece of art framed as it is coloured. So our genre of art means that this is the first stage. We're doing something else with it after. So if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter, because by the time you've got your bits and pieces and your embellishment and your glitter and your sentiment, you just kind of see the overall thing. You're not going to zone in to like, oh my goodness, it's bled outside there a little bit. So don't worry about it too much. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I've got a black glittery pen, but you can just do this also with any sort of fine liner pen. Okay, and what I'm going to do is do some dots. So I'm going to do lots of dots just in those shadow areas. I'm going to do quite a few dots really close together. So where we've got that grey, we're going to go really close together and just do lots of little dots. If you've got like one of the Spectrum Wire glitter pens like this, of course you could just sort of brush it over the whole thing if you want. I like doing this. Okay. So we're going to do a few, and then gradually we're going to make them not as close together. So they're going to come out a bit, and they're going to come not as close together. So now we've kind of got, so again in this tail here we're going to have loads, just dot dot dot, really close together. And then we're just going to do a few more, but have them very sparse. And I'm mostly going to stick to the green area for these dots. Now, if you ever look at a sequin dress, you'll occasionally get a sparkle of black on the white. So I just want to put a couple, not many. So we're going to put a few of the dark ones into that light area. Not a lot, just a few. And then I'm going to do the same on the tail. So again, where we maybe got the harsh lines with the grey, the fact that we're doing loads of dotting close together, that is just going to completely disguise that. So lots of dots really close together, and then gradually as we come out of that shadow area and you're going into where your second colour of alcohol marker is, just start putting them slightly further apart. Now if you've got glitter pens in different colours, you can have a whale of a time and sort of start going into your blue glitters and your green, but just because I know not everybody would have that, I thought we'd stick with black and white. So again, I'm just going to put a few, not as many, but a few dots down around here. So by the time we're getting here, we don't have many at all. It's not all really sort of close together. Okay, and then again, just one or two in those highlight areas, not a lot. And I'm going to do the same around her top. Lots in the corner there. And just a few sort of coming out after. Okay, and that's where we are with the black pen. And this is where all the magic happens, when we get the white pen out. I'm going to start off, I'm just going to doodle a little scribble around those flowers, just mimicking the lines that were already drawn there. I'm going to just draw some highlight lines in various places. And I think one of the best places to put your highlight lines as well is in those shadow areas, because it will really pop. So we'll get those in there. And then the same as we did with the black pen, I'm just going to put like a few dots in these like lighter areas, and then the occasional one, not many, but just a few in those darker areas there. Okay, you see the difference between that part of the tail there and that part of the tail there just from the white lines? Honestly, a little bit of white gel pen makes all the difference in the world. So I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to get this coming around. Okay, I'm going to do some sort of swirly lines here. Again, I'm going to come up where some of those lines are there. Let's get one down here. Nice big white one going down there as well. So again, I'm just going to maybe put a few, I'm going to put some bigger dots here actually. So a few dots here. We'll have a few in those lighter areas, so possibly where the pink meets the green, it was a little bit difficult to blend, so get lots of white dots in there. And again, this all adds to that really shimmery effect. Just take your time, lots of dots. And then the occasional one in those darker areas. I'm going to do the same, just around the top. Fill in the sort of swirly bit. I'm going to do a few little marks on her skin as well. Get the roses up here. Okay, and I'm just going to add a few little flicks in the hair for added highlights. Okay, and to add sparkle, what I would do is choose a few areas to draw a little star shape. So I'm just going to pick a few. So I'll have one down here. So I'm going to choose one of my dots, and I'm going to do a little line up, a little line down, across, and then two more, just to create a little flick. Thank you. Okay, let's choose a few more in the tail. How do you feel about your own work? So at this stage, how are you feeling about how it's looking now it's coming together? Just be patient yourself. I would so appreciate it if you have coloured along to share it in the group. It would be so nice to see how everyone got on. So I'm just gonna, my pen's deciding to fail me here. So I'm just gonna add a few little sparkles. Let's have some in her hair as well. And she has a mermaid. She's allowed to sparkle and shimmer. So I'm just gonna add a few little stars like so, and it just helps to kind of add that extra little sparkle. So that's the one that I did earlier. So you can see my two have look really different. I've gone much darker in her hair there, and yeah, I've gone darker in the dress and I've put more pink in this one. So everyone's is going to be slightly different, and if you were to try and colour it the same each time, it's going to look slightly different. There's a bit you don't like and bits you do. Well, do you know what? I would absolutely recommend then, Claire, that I always say to people, it's so easy to look at it and point out the bits that you don't like. So I would really want you to focus on the bits that you do like. So if you have coloured along, I really would love it if you would share it in the group, but I would also like you to tell me which bit you like. Let's focus on the positive. We need to silence our inner critic and focus on the positive. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I kind of pulled my jumper off halfway through because it was a bit hot, so I'm gonna stick that back on so I'm modest when I go back to the camera. We're gonna slide across here because I need to move this out the way. Have a look at my pens. Right. Oh, nothing's working. Nope. Hang on. Let's see if I do it here. Right, I'm afraid, guys, my fancy gadget that allows me to talk to switch camera is not working. It's not letting me do that. So I will have to say goodbye from this particular angle, but please do share your makes in the group. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sticking with me if you've stuck with me through the whole thing. I really do appreciate it. I will see you guys in the group, and we'll be back with more crafty goodness very, very soon. Okay, take care everyone, and goodbye.